MCU's latest TV triumph has aired its final 2 episodes, and what an ending. Here is Agatha All Along's shocking season finale explained. As you might have guessed, this video will not be spoiler free, so this is your sign to go watch the finale and then come back here after. Now this wasn't just a regular season finale, it was a cool season finale because 2 episodes dropped at once. The first of the pair, the thrilling conclusion to The Witch's Road, an epic fight between Agatha, Billy, and Lady Death, and the shocking reveal that The Witch's Road was made up by Billy. The next episode kicked off, throwing us back in time to 1750, where we finally got some answers viewers have been wondering about for weeks. What exactly went down between Agatha and Lady Death that resulted in so much tension in their relationship? I mean, it was highly suggested that it had something to do with Agatha's son Nicholas, but many details were missing, and we're nosy, so it was nice to finally get the backstory. So the backstory is Agatha is seen running through the forest of ye olden days, eventually stopping to give birth to her son, Nicholas Scratch. Only right before he is brought into the world, Death appears, and Agatha knows right away that she is there for Nikki. Finally, we know why Agatha and Lady Death have been at each other's throats. Agatha is still angry with her ex for taking her son from her. The other major reveal that came with the episode is that the Witch's Road wasn't real. I know it seemed so real when they were walking it, but it turns out the whole thing was created by Wiccan. Baby's first reality warp, he's just like his mother. Wiccan might have technically created the physical Witch's Road, but the actual legend, it is as old as Agatha. What started out as a sweet song sung by Agatha and Nicholas as they traveled ye old roads and duped witches into situations in which Agatha could steal their powers, turned into this larger-than-life story shared across the world. It promised those their greatest desire at the end, but in the end, it was all a ruse Agatha used to gather together a group of willing witches to steal their powers. Technically, at the end of it all, a witch did get her greatest desire, only it was Agatha and her desire was more power. Wiccan's power threshold was also a hot topic in the final 2 episodes of the series. He had that epic reveal in which we got to see Billy's comic outfit in real life, and it looked awesome. Side note, literally, when we saw this for the first time, I turned to my friend and said, see, this is what happens when you create a character in the modern day. You get a great live action adaptation of their suit because people actually want to wear those clothes. And look, there's a lot of original suits that I would give myself over to Lady Death to wear. The OG Black Widow suit, impractical, but I love her. Captain America's suit, but for example, the first Wolverine costume, not really my vibe, and I am talking about the first suit, the Whiskers suit, okay? So please don't come for me, I love the later versions. But anyways, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Comic readers have already been tuned into Wiccan, we know how powerful this kid is, but now MCU fans are cluing in thanks to this show. I mean, he literally hijacked a body, created the Witch's Road, and faced off against Agatha and Lady Death. Maybe he lost that last one, but we all start somewhere. The Witch's Road was so impressive to me though, because it actually functioned. He unconsciously created this living entity, and that is wicked. Not only did the Road, or I guess Wiccan, create real trials, but the Road did end up granting everyone the thing they wanted from it. Sharon wanted some friends. Alice broke her generational curse and learned the truth about her mother. Lilia finally made some sense of her disjointed lifeline. Jen got her magic back. Rio got her bodies. Wiccan found his brother, and Agatha gained a son. Sure, it wasn't Nikki, but Wiccan is pretty close. Wiccan is going to be a major force to be reckoned with in the MCU, and I can't wait to see it. Hopefully he will get more screen time sooner rather than later, because the episode ended with Ghost Harkness and Billy heading out to go find Tommy. In the previous episode, we saw Billy launch Tommy's wandering spirit into a boy that had just passed. That's kind of like the mini recap of what happened, and personally I would love to see the journey of Harkness and Billy finding Billy's twin. Harkness training Billy along the journey and Billy eventually getting hold of his massive amounts of power. Just before the pair head out the door, Agatha admits that she is a ghost because she's unwilling to pass on out of fear of facing her son Nicholas, who though she misses him, she likely still feels guilty about the whole thing. Helping Wiccan find his family might be what helps her move on enough to face her own, and it sounds like it would be a really cute show, so I want to see it, please. Plus, it would act as kind of like an Easter egg to Agatha's comic counterpart. For a long time, Agatha was simply Franklin Richards' nanny, and she was really good at that job too. As for the future of one Scarlet Witch in the MCU, who is also briefly featured in this show, it's still up in the air, officially. However, in Agatha episode 8, the inclusion of the conversation from WandaVision between Wanda and Vision when the Hex was collapsing, the one where they're like, we'll say hello again, that makes me think that we will for sure see her soon. We'll say hello again? Come on, Scarlet Witch will return, and Vision will will for sure return. He has his own series planned. So that's pretty much a done deal there. It's now more of a question of how they will return. Marvel is quite good when it comes to writing for the Maximoff extended family, so I am looking forward to what the MCU comes up with. One big Nicholas Scratch question is still left unanswered though. Who was his father? The easy answer is it was just some guy. Just a random dude Agatha met and left, but after learning about her past relationships with women and the suggestion during the birth that Agatha loves Lady Death, it's unlikely. In the comics, Nicholas's father is unknown. Maybe the MCU is going to keep that because really, it won't matter until it matters who his father was because A, Nicholas has passed on, and B, his mother is so powerful, his dad would have to be like God or the devil to outshine Miss Agatha. So where does that leave us? Well, some people are theorizing that Agatha created Nicholas in a similar fashion to how Wanda had made her boys. Agatha said that she had said no spell or incantation, he was made from scratch. From scratch for a witch doesn't always mean the same thing it does for humans. That word, scratch, also became Nicholas's last name, and that further supports the theory that maybe Nicholas just didn't have a traditional father, because if he did, it would seem more likely that he would take his father's or even his mother's last name. With the MCU's witches, there is a through line of them all realizing at some point that sometimes you don't know how magical things happen. Sure, you might have caused them, but to you, it just happened. You couldn't control it. That was Wanda's whole issue in WandaVision, and Agatha kept saying that to Billy throughout all of Agatha All Along. Nicholas could have been one of Agatha's, I don't know how it happened, but it did. This would be an interesting way to further connect her to Wanda and explain why she was so gentle with Billy. She saw her son in the way Billy acted, but also in the way Billy came to exist in the world. One more piece to support this theory that Nicholas was all Agatha all along is that in an interview with In Creative Company, Catherine Han actually did talk about the creation of little witches and warlocks and Wiccans. The actress was chatting about how self-sufficient witches were, and are, and that's what made them threatening. She talked about how they didn't need men and how when witch children were born, there was no mention of a male.
Like they're totally self-sufficient, they don't need men. Their babies are born, there's no males mentioned.
What actually inspired these comments from the actress was a discussion about her conversations with presumably the show's creative team. One can assume that the team also discussed this aspect of Agatha's story, being Nicholas, especially considering how major little Nicky was in Agatha's life. To bring Death's role back into the equation though, we all know how Lady Death's job is to keep the balance of all living things. It's why she wanted Billy so badly. He was, in her words, an abomination. Right. Well, if Agatha made Nicholas Scratch in a similar fashion to how Wanda made her boys, it makes sense that even though Death loved Agatha, she would eventually have to take Nicholas. In the end, she gave Agatha some time with her son, but he couldn't stay because he was never supposed to be there. Also, can we talk about how funny it would be though if, as revenge for Death taking her boy, Agatha helped bring two just like him to life? Like, she not only saved the abomination that was Billy, but she also, after promising to get him to surrender to Death, helped Billy do the same thing to Tommy's soul. Like, oh, Death, you wanted Billy gone? What if instead of doing that, we multiplied your problem? The drama, the comedy of it. And finally, the final theory, not to get wild in the studio today, but just for some fun. In the comics, we have been introduced to the idea of two women creating a child. What if, and stay with me, the way Marvel made Mystique and Destiny, Nightcrawler's parents, using shape-shifting and gene shaping, what if they did that with Lady Death and Agatha? The story would even be similar. Maybe Agatha did have relations with a man at some point, just like how Mystique did, but really her true love was Death. I think it would be funny if the MCU did this, mainly because it would just be so confusing. It's hard enough trying to explain Nightcrawler's origins to non-comic readers, believe me, I've tried, but the MCU has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever and make this family tree a headache for the general public. But what do you think, and what did you think of the show? Let us know. Bye!